remember that Isaiah's ancient words were preserved in brass plates, carried across oceans, and quoted by Nephi for a divine purpose. Magen, Midegah Gichida'a here, the kind warrior man of the Anishinaabe Ojibwe peoples. I am Ogima Sanjab, the chief who is brave and strong, and my symbol is the hoof of the moose. When planted, it is firm, immovable, and mighty. And I am Josep. Brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for joining me today as we continue our journey through the first book of Nephi. We are almost to the end. Having explored Nephi's sacred record keeping in chapter 19, we now turn to chapter 20, where Nephi quotes extensively from the prophet Isaiah. This chapter contains powerful messages about covenant relationships, divine patience, and prophetic foresight. As we study together, I invite you to listen for God's personal message to you. How might the Lord be calling you back to covenant faithfulness? What refining process might he be guiding you through? How can Isaiah's ancient words illuminate your present path? In 1 Nephi 20, Nephi begins quoting Isaiah 48 from the brass plates. This marks the first extended Isaiah quotation in the Nephite record, establishing a pattern that will be continued throughout Nephi's writings and beyond. Why did Nephi choose this particular chapter of Isaiah? The context helps us understand. Isaiah 48 was written to the people of Judah who were approaching captivity in Babylon. Isaiah spoke to the covenant people who had become spiritually complacent, prideful, and idolatrous, despite outward religious observance. Similarly, Nephi's brothers Lament and Lemuel maintained cultural identity as Israelites, but struggled with genuine faith and obedience. The parallels between ancient Judah and Nephi's own family situation were striking. Just as Judah would face Babylon, captivity as a refining process, Nephi's family had been led through wilderness and had to endure trials to purify their faith. In 1 Nephi 19:23, Nephi explained this purpose. I did read unto them that which was written by the prophet Isaiah, for I did liken all scriptures unto us, that it might be for our profit and learning. This chapter demonstrates Nephi likening Isaiah's words to his own family's circumstances. Chapter 20 begins with a divine confrontation. In verse 1, we read, "Hearken and hear this, O house of Jacob, who are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, or out of the waters of baptism, who swear by the name of the Lord, and make mention of the God of Israel, yet they swear not in truth nor in righteousness." Notice the blunt assessment. These are people who invoke God's name and identify with the covenant but lack integrity. They've retained religious forms while abandoning spiritual substance, going through motions. In verse 4, the Lord explains why they resist believing. "For I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass." Isaiah uses striking metaphors here. An iron sinew in the neck suggests stubborn inflexibility and unwillingness to bow in humility. A brass brow implies impenetrable hardness, resistance to new understanding. Together, these metaphors depict prideful self-reliance that prevents spiritual growth. This aligns with Isaiah's earlier description in Isaiah 29:13. "This people drew near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but had removed their heart far from me. and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. This divine confrontation reveals a pattern repeated throughout Scripture. When covenant people elevate cultural practices over genuine devotion, God issues calls to return to authentic relationship. As Isaiah declared in Isaiah 1:11 through 13, "To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me, saith the Lord? Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. I cannot away with, it is iniquity, even the solemn meeting." How might this apply to us today? We should examine whether our religious participation has become merely cultural rather than transformative. Do we invoke God's name while making decisions contrary to his will? Do we claim covenant identity without living covenant principles? Isaiah's words invite critical self-reflection. In verse 3 through 8, the Lord explains why he gives prophecy to his people. In verse 3, he states, "Behold, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did show them suddenly." The Lord continues in verses 5 through 6, "And I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed them thee, and I showed them for fear, lest thou shouldest say, Mine idol hath done them. Behold, I have shown thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them." This reveals a profound purpose behind prophecy. God provides foreknowledge, not merely to satisfy curiosity about the future, but to establish his divine authority and prevent idolatry. When events unfold as prophesied, people cannot reasonably attribute these outcomes to false gods or human ingenuity. In verse 8, the Lord acknowledges the people's spiritual dullness. "Yea, and thou heardest not. Yea, thou knewest not. Yea, from that time thine ear was not opened. For I knew that thou wouldest deal very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb." This echoes Isaiah's earlier statement in Isaiah 6:9 through 10. "Hear ye indeed, but understood not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert, and be healed." Yet despite this spiritual deafness, God continues to speak. His persistence in providing prophecy demonstrates remarkable divine patience. As Isaiah proclaimed in Isaiah 42:9, "Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them." This divine passage teaches us that prophecy serves as divine credential. When we see biblical prophecies fulfilled, particularly regarding the Messiah's coming, our faith is rationally strengthened. Isaiah's words also remind covenant people that true spiritual hearing involves not just receiving information, but allowing that information to transform our hearts and actions. For us today, this invites reflection on how we respond to prophetic guidance. Do we truly listen? Or do our preconceptions create spiritual defenses? Do we acknowledge God's foreknowledge in our lives, or attribute blessings to luck, self-effort, or other sources? In verses 9 through 11, the Lord explains his restraint in judgment, revealing that divine patience stems from covenant commitment rather than human merit. "Nevertheless, for my name's sake, will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain from thee, that I cut thee not off. For behold, I have refined thee, I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. For my own sake, yea, for mine own sake will I do this. For I will not suffer my name to be polluted, and I will not give my glory unto another." This passage reveals profound theological truths about the one Creator's faithfulness to his covenants. The Lord preserves Israel not because of their righteousness, but because of his name, his reputation, and character. It's linked to their covenant relationship. As Isaiah expressed in Isaiah 43:25, I, even I, am he that blotteth out thy transgressions for mine own sake, and will not remember thy sins. The furnace of affliction metaphor deserves special attention. God permits refining trials not to punish, but to purify, to burn away impurities and strengthen faith. This connects to Isaiah's earlier imagery in Isaiah 1:25. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and purely purge away thy dross, and take away all thy tin. When applied to Nephi's family context, this passage must have resonated powerfully. Their wilderness journey and ocean crossing certainly qualified as a furnace of affliction. They traveled for 8 years in the wilderness. Yet through these trials, God was refining their faith and preserving their covenant promises. In verse 12 through 13, the Lord reasserts his uniqueness and eternal nature. Hearken unto me, O Jacob, and Israel my called, for I am he, I am the first and I am the last. Mine hand hath also laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. I call unto them, and they stand up together. This echoes Isaiah's declaration in Isaiah 45:12, I have made the earth and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their host have I commanded. By emphasizing his role as the one creator, the Lord establishes ultimate authority over his people. The one who formed the cosmos certainly possesses the power and right to direct human affairs. This reminder of divine sovereignty would have comforted Nephi's family in their isolation from Jerusalem, assuring them that the Creator remained with them even in a new land. For us today, this passage offers reassurance during difficult seasons. When facing our own furnaces of affliction, we can remember that God permits trials not to abandon us, but to refine us. His patience stems not from indifference, but from unwavering commitment to his covenant purposes. In verses 14 through 17, the prophecy shifts to focus on a specific divine servant. All ye assemble yourselves and hear, who among them hath declared these things unto them? The Lord hath loved him, yea, and he will fulfill his word, which he hath declared by them. And he will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall come upon the Chaldeans. Also saith the Lord, I, the Lord, yea, I have spoken, yea, I have called him to declare. I have brought him, and he shall make his way prosperous. Come ye near unto me. I have not spoken in secret. From the beginning, from the time that it was declared, I have spoken, and the Lord God and his Spirit has sent me. This passage introduces a figure whom the Lord loves and empowers to fulfill divine purposes. While some scholars identify this servant specifically as Cyrus, who would later conquer Babylon, the language also applies more broadly to divine servants who speak God's words and execute his judgments. The statement, the Lord God and his Spirit hath sent me, in verse 16, is particularly significant. Here Isaiah speaks as one commissioned by both the Lord and his Spirit, foreshadowing the divine collaboration we see more fully revealed in the great peacemaker's ministry for peace. This connects to Isaiah's earlier messianic prophecy in 11:2-4, and the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. For Nephi's audience and for us, this passage offers assurance that God works through chosen servants to accomplish his purposes. When prophetic messengers speak truth, even difficult truth, they do so with divine authorization and backing. In verse 17 through 19, the Lord expresses poignant regret over what could have been if Israel had remained faithful. And thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, I have sent him, the Lord thy God, who teacheth thee to profit, who leadeth thee by the way thou shouldst go, hath done it. Oh, that thou hadst hearkened to my commandments. Then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Thy seed also had been as the sand, and the offspring of thy bowels like the gravel thereof. His name should not have been cut off nor destroyed from before me. The phrase, oh, that thou hadst hearkened, reveals divine sorrow over human disobedience. God envisions an alternative history where Israel's faithful obedience would have resulted in abundant peace, as a river overflowing righteousness, as the waves of the sea, and countless posterity as the sand. The divine lament parallels Jesus' words over Jerusalem in Luke 13:34. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killest the prophets, and stonest them that are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together, as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not. You could maybe say that in the modern times, O Salt Lake, which kills the prophets and stones them that are sent unto thee. How often would have I gathered thy children together, Mormons, as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not. Yet despite this lament, the passage doesn't end in despair. Verse 20 pivots to hopeful command. Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans, with a voice singing, declare ye, tell this, utter to the end of the earth, say ye, the Lord hath redeemed his servant Jacob. This echoes Isaiah's declaration in Isaiah 52:11 through 12. Depart ye, go ye out from thence, touch no unclean thing, go ye out of the midst of her. For ye shall not go out with haste, nor go by flight, for the Lord will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your reward. The instruction to leave Babylon presents both literal and spiritual exodus, abandoning not just a geographic location, but a worldview characterized by pride, materialism, and idolatry. The voice of singing suggests that this departure should be joyful, not a mournful exile. In verse 21, let me turn to this here real quick. Let's skip ahead here. All right. Went a little bit long here. Bear with me here. Basically, as we conclude our study of 1 Nephi chapter 20, let us remember that Isaiah's ancient words were preserved in brass plates, carried across oceans, and quoted by Nephi for a divine purpose, to speak to us today. When we recognize ourselves in these passages, perhaps in our occasional spiritual deafness, our cultural rather than heartfelt worship, or our need for divine refining, we fulfill Nephi's intent that we liken these scriptures to ourselves. The overarching message of this chapter is both challenging and comforting. God confronts hypocrisy and laments disobedience, yet remains committed to covenant relationship and continues extending invitations to return. As Isaiah declared in Isaiah 44:22, I have blotted out as a thick cloud your transgressions, and as a cloud thy sins return unto me, for I have redeemed thee. Whether we identify with Israel in Babylonian captivity, with Nephi's family in wilderness journey, or simply with our own modern spiritual struggles, this chapter reassures us that divine patience outlasts human obstinacy and laziness. The one creator who refined ancient Israel continues to refine us today, not to destroy, but to purify, not to abandon, but to redeem. I ask that we respond to this chapter's invitation to hearken and hear, to acknowledge divine authority, to recognize refining processes in our life, to imagine alternative possibilities through obedience, and to joyfully depart from anything that separates us from covenant faithfulness. The most important thing we can do is plumb line. We've got to live the good life. And we do that with 7 sacred teachings. We think, speak, and act with wisdom, respect, humility, honesty, truth, courage, and love. We show wisdom in understanding or acknowledging that there's one creator for all things seen and unseen. So we show respect to all things seen and unseen because it is sustained and provided by the one creator. In creation, humanity is sacred, if not made in the image of the one creator. So we show humility and we safeguard human life. We show honesty with each other. If what you have attained in your sacred journey with the creator is for you, it's not for me to covet, to seek after, or to claim. But this applies also to all living beings. It's living a life of truth, that all living things have a sacred covenant relationship with the one creator as they fill the measure of their creation. And so it's on us to live a life of courage, to choose to live here as spirit men and women, dwelling within temples, these vessels of flesh, of earth, and to give love unconditionally to all things. You know, it says here at the end of chapter 20, verse 21, and they thirsted not. He led them through the deserts. He caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them. He clave the rock also, and the waters gushed out. And notwithstanding, he hath done all this and greater also. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. We need to have lives of peace. And to live lives of peace, we have to slow down to that space we can control, which is right between your heartbeat and your breath, and just choose to be kind. That's it. Kindness is the power in peace. It's the kindest thing that we can do. It's just return anger, frustrations, or the have you with kindness. Now, granted, you're not talking to the choir here. This is my great struggle as well. So let's struggle together on this. So until tomorrow, Chi Miigwech, thank you from my heart. And we will talk really soon. Crazy smiles. Yeah. Love you. Love you, Dave. Yeah, say bye. Saludos. Gimme quen me go. Gimme quen me go. Gishi se shisagiya. Gishi se shisagiya. Zegoyan. Mekwenda goshida. Mekwenda goshida. Aben goja. Aben goja. Gimme quen me go. Gimme quen me go. Ani kubi jiganad. Ani kubi jiganad. Gimme quen me go. In my way, my gona. In my way, my gona. Gimme quen me go. Gimme quen me go. Gishi se shisagiya. Gishi se shisagiya. Segoyan.
Segoyan.
Good job.